Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me Isabel here with your Romancelandia update for the month of April. A lot has happened. First and foremost, a lot has happened this month. If you're new here, I'm going to dive into these as much as I can and give you the best overview I can for every situation, because honestly, so much happened that I don't know that I could do it all in one video, and two, I don't want you to be here for 2 hours, but we're going to do our best, okay? We're going to do our best. And that means covering it the best we can. I'm going to give you guys content warnings as I can for these topics as well. We definitely, when we talk about a certain book convention, proceed with caution. But it was a busy month. My goodness, I had hoped for a quiet April, and I decided I'm done hoping and I'm done saying it's been quiet, because every time I do, the last 2 weeks are an explosion of things happening. So here we are with way too much. So as always, I'll have timestamps down below if you want to jump around to anything specific, and we will wrap up with some fun items that did happen in the month of April, because honestly, we're gonna need it by the time we get there. So okay, so first up, I think this is in chronological order, I'm not sure, I can't remember. The AAMBC, which is, what is that short for? African Americans on the Move Book Club organization. So the AAMBC is hosting their 2024 Literary Awards. This happens in August. It is voted on by the public. Apparently it's been going on for 16 years. Had no idea. They continue to be messy, because last year I remember them being on my radar because they put the Davenports, this book, in urban fiction as a category. What? I'm confused. That's not urban fiction. My pasty self can tell you that is not urban fiction. What is going on? But the reason I bring it up this year is because they nominated Kiera Lewis as Literary Activist of the Year. She was one of the options. What? Where? Is that just like somebody that you think is getting people to read, or what? Because that girl is reading the turfiest of turfs in the year of our Lord 2024 and acting like it's fine, it's no big deal. What is going on? And she was up against people who like make sense, like Michael the Librarian, like people that I'm like, yeah, sure, totally, this makes sense. To the point at which some people that I follow on TikTok, like Sometime Robin Reads, she was like, I'm good. I emailed them, I do not want to be nominated. And I was like, accurate. Also, equally as like, what? Again, it feels very disconnected from the bookish community, in my opinion. They nominated St. Martin's Press for changing the literary landscape. So that was interesting, to say the least. For me, the Kiera Lewis thing is really what stuck out the most. I was just like, what? And the picture they used of her, like she's holding a stack of that book series? What is going on there? I feel like y'all need like somebody that's on socials to help you and know what's up a little bit. Anyways, that was a whole mess. And I just have to bring it up because I was so like, huh? When it happened. Next up, we have more AI art. Because of course we do. We can't escape it. It's ever present, never changing situation. Bloom Books announced the new recovers for Sophie Lark's Grimstone and something else. I'll put the covers here for you. I don't remember the other book's name. Immediately people were like, I'm pretty sure this is AI, or parts of this is AI. And Bloom like recovered this so fast. I need people to take note on how they handled this. Because Bloom, no joke, was like, we're pulling these, we're fixing it, we're looking into it. We're addressing the issue. Sophie pulled the covers down, like they were gone. So like I dug to get these, okay? And I just need to say I'm pleased with the response and how it was handled. For me, these covers, if you look at them a little closely, I'll put one up here big a little bit, you can kind of see how the background and foreground are like blended. There's no like background and foreground. It's kind of just weird. There's just a weird vibe about it that gives it a little bit offness. So I think, you know, similar to the Ruthacana, similar to the Gothicana cover with the buildings, I think that they can kind of be a weird giveaway, how the buildings in the background are like kind of muddled together weirdly. So yeah, I just thought this was great to see a publisher respond so quickly and eloquently to the issue and be like, yeah, we're gonna fix that. Sorry. You know, we value artists. So I was like, thank goodness. And like, it was one of those situations which is happening now, as one of the problems with AI art is that you may be getting elements to use in a piece, because like often these pieces, like you're getting different elements that have been pre-created. Those are actually AI and it's not disclosed always appropriately. So yeah. Next up, we have a fun one. This is a quickie, but I just want to ring a little bell here to alert anyone who does ARC reviews, because I think it's important you know this, that Louisa Bay was harassing reviewers. So on TikTok, a lady came forward. She reviewed a recent release from Louisa Bay, and called out an issue of language that was being used in this book being a racial slur. Louisa didn't like that. She messaged her on Facebook to tell her that it's contested on if it's a slur and that she needs to remove the book because the book just came out, and no negative reviews when the book first comes out if you were an ARC reviewer, blah, 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 all this stuff. I'm going to link to this lady's TikTok down below who got harassed. I want to say a couple things here. Number one, you can post whatever you want as a reviewer. It's fine. An author can't stop you. Once a book is released into the public, if you have integrity as a reviewer, as a reader, say your piece. That author has no right to tell you to take that down. Even if you got an early copy, as long as you're disclosing that appropriately, as long as you're disclosing that you are a reviewer, you work for the author, whatever, properly, it's fine. It's no big deal. When you don't do that, that's when it's a problem, right? And no author, you can choose to, if I read a favorite author's book and I hated it, I may not post that review right away, okay? I might hold it for a minute just because I want to let people that loved it have their moment. And then maybe I'm going to come back with some critiques, right? With my criticism. But I also am if you want to post your 2-star review, your 3-star review, whatever, post it. Even if they say to hold it, you can post it. I just don't think at the end of the day, authors should be dictating to reviewers what to post or how to post. Most authors I review for and get ARCs from, there is no dictation on that. But yeah, I just think it's real shady to, one, when somebody tells you something's a racial slur, to argue back with them that it's not. And then 2, to be well, you need to pull your review, because that's just yikes. And I know some authors are real precious about their work, but I do think there's a balance of when you release a thing into the wild, it's in the wild, the world's going to consume it how they consume it. You can't always control that. So yeah, I will link to her whole entire TikTok down below, but I was mortified at the entire behavior here. I would be so uncomfortable if an author just DM'd me to take down a review. Absolutely not. We talk about our queen, Nora Roberts. If you're unfamiliar, Nora has some infamous quotes in the bookish space, including, Deborah, I've personally explained the process to you, in which she had to tell a reader how getting published, I think, works. I can't remember now. Oh my goodness, that was so long ago. Well, unfortunately, Nora has had to lay down the law yet again in her blog, and I love her for it. I really do. People were being mean to her assistant, who basically runs the Facebook group and stuff, and were trying to argue about why Eve and her In Death series should have family, her and Rourke should have kids, all these things that Roberts has said is not happening, and that is not part of the story here. And they're her characters, and you can F off if you don't like it, basically. And told the readers to get it together. And I recommend y'all go read this. This was a delightful spot in my day when I saw this. I was yes, Nora, please keep telling people off, because honestly, the flip side to the other situation is people are just getting out of pocket these days with their behaviors, and I need them to take a breath before they react sometimes, a little more often here. That would be great. That'd be fantastic. This would make Romancelandia a lot easier if they did also. But I highly recommend giving this Nora post a read. It was so much fun. Love her. She always is ready to not fight her fans, but she is always ready to handle situations when her fans get out of hand, which also Facebook. It tracks, Okay, next up. Woo! I know y'all are where's the good stuff? It's coming. It's coming, I promise. TL Swan has launched Keeperton, which basically, from the publisher weekly announcement, is same setup as Bloom Books, right? So she's helping bridge the gap between digital and traditional publishing. She's teamed up with the publishing house. I don't remember which one. And basically, authors retain digital rights while they help distribute it physically. It is exactly what Bloom Books is doing, just so you know. And Source Books, which owns Bloom. So that's kind of their thing already. So I'm very curious to see where this goes. But yeah, we have another competitor entering that space of letting authors keep more of their digital rights to distribute the print rights for them. Next up, Blue Nose Audio / Joe Arden's audiobook company has released a statement. Basically, what they're telling us in this statement is that their internal investigation is done. within like no time flat, let's note. But also, I want to say this before we dive in a little bit to the statement. We are never going to see this internal investigation document. That lawyer and Blue Nose signed lawyer confidentiality agreements. Like, I'm pretty sure this couldn't even come out in court, okay? So, know that ahead of time. But basically, their investigation says that nothing illegal happened and nothing without consent happened between Joe Arden and any of these supposed victims. I'm saying supposed as like them saying it, okay? Not me saying it. So, this, in my opinion, at the end of the day, is a CYA, cover your ass. This is well, nothing technically illegal happened here, so there's nothing you can do. And well, now we can't, now people will stay with us instead of canceling their contracts or other things with us. It's a look, for sure. It's a look for how fast this came out. I'm not surprised. It's a business, they're going to try and save their asses. It's a business that makes probably a good chunk of change also. So I think, that's a big part of it. I feel terrible for every single victim. Every single person has come forward to have to read that letter or see this, because I just think that was such just yuck. It was a yuck. It was not it. There's that. I don't think we're really going to see much more come of the Blue Nose situation. I know for me personally, I will just not be partaking in anything that he is in the future. If I have stuff that I already own and I listen to it, I'm just not going to tell you all that I listen to it or suggest the audiobook. But, I don't know. I'm a little off put by it at the end of the day. I'm also off put by the authors that I've seen a handful of like being pick-me's about it and like, well, I stand with Joe. I'm like, but why? Why? That's weird. You're weird. Here we go, y'all. We are getting into the thick of it and the thing you've been waiting for. Listen, I need to know, there's one thing I do need to say. It had been a quiet Romancelandia. We got on the road and we drove to Charlotte for a little like 4 days away. Grumps had some work stuff. I went with. And we literally are driving on Saturday and I am just reading receipt after receipt on Twitter. I mean, just nonstop. It was wild. I literally like got on the road and was just like, holy crap the entire time. So we have a previous bad actor that has reappeared yet again. And honestly, this is the first things first here. I want to say this too. This is not a discussion on pen names, because pen names are valid and everyone has their reasons for not fully revealing their identity. The problem here is the trend of behavior we keep seeing. It's the trend. And that trend is something that this person has done over and over and over again, because we'll get there. First up, we're going to talk about Freydis Moon / Taylor Burton / Brooklyn Ray / Jupiter Weiss. Again, a previous bad actor. Some of you may or may not have been in the bookish space already when this first happened. I remember when Jupiter Weiss was outed. I don't know. I need to go dig if it was in a Romancelandia or not. But it was a graphic novel situation in which they were pretending to be Latina and were working on a graphic novel, had a publishing deal under Jupiter Weiss. They only showed, like, they had like a sugar skull thing from here down, and it was quickly outed. Not quickly, but like mid-project, it was outed that Jupiter Weiss was not who they claimed to be. Jupiter Weiss was actually Taylor Burton or Brooklyn Ray, who also gets better. So they were outed as that, right? And Brooklyn Ray was outed for trying to republish a co-written book without contacting the previously co-written author in any capacity, like got a publishing deal for that. Yeah. So, like, again, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is a history of behavior. And I just don't get it at the end of the day. And I'm never going to fully get this because it's just not me. And my brain could never. So we're fast forward now to 2024. This happened fast forward a little bit. Early on in Freydis popping up, some people posed concerns that she was not who she said she was. It's a pit crew-y illustrated profile picture, which there's nothing wrong with. And, some similar themes and backgrounds for photos on Instagram and similar like pets, I believe. I think it was just backgrounds at the time though, which was kind of excused off as like you buy those packs on Etsy where you can like throw a picture in. So everyone kind of just said, no, that's not the case. Like we're all paranoid about Taylor. I don't think that's what's happening. So yeah, that was about a year and a half ago now. And like I said, people took it with a grain of salt. It just kind of was like no, I don't think it's Taylor actually. Like it can't be. There's no way that they would be that bold. Well, boy, literally over a week ago now, did we find out that they indeed are that bold and brave. I wish I could be this delusional. Turns out Taylor's had no less than 10 different identities. Here they are, all the names that they have gone by previously for you. Because holy crap, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. I gotta know, how are we tracking this? Spreadsheets? It's gotta be like a spreadsheet in different details, right? But what happened is L/Importer noticed some things with Freydis's work. They were close with Freydis and also knew about Taylor and Taylor Burton's previous works and different names. M decided to look into the metadata on that, and there are videos of them opening these files. People have verified this. That metadata says Taylor Brooke, Taylor Barton, Hunter Lewin, which is another one of her pen names. It's all the same user, which means, unfortunately, that Freydis Moon is not who they claimed to be, does not have the representation they claim to have. It's just really, really sad to see, to be honest with you, happen. I really enjoyed a lot of books by them previously, and now am just kind of like, great, cool, that's a thing that happened. Something else to note, Freydis also had another active pen name at this time, which was Saint Harlow, which I had not read from, and was like having conversations with Freydis, Saint, and another person. How do you keep that straight? Like, again, how do you keep that straight? I don't understand. They're also using Saint to bully people that they had blocked as Freydis, and generally just encourage the harassment. At some points, apparently, people who had wanted to speak up about some issues they were seeing were told not to because it would look bad on the Latinx community, like the book community as a whole, which like is really sad to see happen. This entire call, like, I'm gonna have quite a few links for you. There's a whole document that chronicles every single bit of evidence that they have gathered. And I know there's some defenders on Threads, I believe, and probably on Freydis' Instagram. Personally, I'm gonna side-eye anybody who still supports because the evidence has continued to compile. Elle actually today posted a 10-part thread with someone who came to them with evidence from when Freydis was Jupiter Weiss, and talking about how much they harbored hatred towards various Black authors and were extremely anti-Black. Someone else had screenshots of Freydis in a Discord shit-talking Aiden Thomas, and they were friends. Like, Aiden Thomas has talked about this. They were friends. And now she's out here just, like, being trash. And it just makes me mad because, like, I don't know what pretending to be something you are not racially really gains you in the book world, because at the end of the day, you're more likely to get published as a white lady. So I don't understand. Freydis also paraded as a agent. So that was interesting. And also as her own, like, assistant. Cordy Lee or something like that was the name. But she also paraded around as an agent at one point and impersonated that and told someone they had a book deal and all this stuff and then just vanished. But at the end of the day, I will say this. People will get outed for pretending to be things they are not. People will get outed for behavior like this at the end of the day, because I feel like to keep that many identities straight, you can't cover it up enough. Freydis' response to this has been that they're not responding. Here's one of their their Instagram comments in which they replied to a commenter basically saying, there's evidence, do what you want. They've continued to post on Instagram like everything is fine, just fine, nothing went wrong, nothing happened here. And I want to say this, like, there were people that got into shit with Freydis that definitely are guilty of things, don't get me wrong, and they're kind of like, some of them are coming back like, I'm good now, see, I'm not actually this, and it's like, well, no, you were still racist even if that wasn't true. But the other thing I want to say is so many people are hurting right now, and I just, like, if you were hurting from this situation, I'm so sorry, because this is god awful. I'm just upset because I liked the books a lot and I connected a lot with a lot of the characters and some of the stuff in it. And here we are. I do want to note that some book boxes have done a wonderful job responding. The Faded Romance box, I don't know if it'll still be open right now, has shifted their June books. One of the books was Freydis's, now it is, but it's Queenie and the Krakens, which I really enjoyed. Still Sing Me to Sleep by Iron Virtues, which I love, and also Yours Insatiably by Avita Weiss, which I need to read, but I love Avita, so I'm happy for it. I'm here for it, okay? But yeah, so that's happening. And I'm really, really happy to see it. But some of the other book boxes responses, I'll link those below. Been a little weird because there was that whole Dee and Bren situation last year, which I'm not sure. Like that part I don't know right now. If I come to a clear conclusion, I'll let anybody know what my conclusion was. But that part, that situation last year, I'm unsure of. But yeah, it just was a time on Saturday. And honestly has continued to be a time because I just can't imagine. But I do think Freydis was their most popular attempt at a pen name and doing all of this. So I think that is part of why we are seeing Taylor grip onto this and be like, I'm not letting go. But boy, a lot of us are letting go and saying goodbye because this is unhinged behavior. Okay, I do want to note before we move on from Freydis as well, like obviously people can be Latina and like white passing and all these things. Latina dad is like such a complicated issue, so I just wanted to note like we shouldn't take this situation and turn it into like a people need to prove to us thing. Same thing for like non-binary trans identity, because it is not safe in this country if they're in America and in a lot of other countries necessarily to be out. So I just think we need to tread with caution, but I also do think like be wary. The fact that like more than likely Taylor is going to pop up with another pen name sooner than later. So kind of proceed with caution. I will be monitoring to see if that happens, and I will share with you if there's any good suspicions. I need good proof though. Like it can't just be like this is the, you know what I mean? Like this was, I need solid evidence that shows me that it is them. So yeah, I just want to keep that in mind because I've noticed a lot of kind of discourse going around to like question things, and I don't like seeing that. And Peas is moving the tripod, so okay, let's continue on. Next up, I've got a fun one. Not really fun, but I just wanted to call out attention to an author that we should give some love to, because the author of Queenie, who just got a Hulu adaptation, and some of Black Twitter was critiquing the book, and that is everyone's right to critique a book. Quote tweeted a romance author and was said, "This you talk to me when your books are on the shelves." And Brittany Danielle deserves more than that, because that is just shit behavior, and I don't appreciate that or support it. And I definitely didn't plan, I didn't think I'd like Queenie, but I for sure will not watch the show nor read the book now, because that is just absolutely not behavior I like to see from an author. Yeah, that's weird. That was weird. So go give Brittany Danielle some love, because I think she deserves it. And that was just gross. Like, it was so gross to see happen. All right, let's talk about the thing that I know is probably high on everyone's radar because it just happened, and that's Readers Take Denver. We're gonna hope while I'm filming this that nothing goes bad at a Polygon, because I can't do this again. So fingers crossed. While we discuss Readers Take Denver, I do want to note we're going to have some discussion about sexual assault and like being groped by people. So if that's going to bother you, take your leave now. You can skip ahead to the fun stuff. I'm just giving you the warning now, because we're going to talk about it through and through, and that's just going to be something that comes up. So another book event was a shit show. A book event that went from 800 attendees last year and had like no lines. That was like their whole thing, no lines, 800 attendees, went to 3,000 in a year. So they increased attendance from 800 people to 3,000 and only had 6 hours of signing time. 6 hours. 6 hours of signing time for that many people. It's not enough time for that many authors and that many people. I'm just gonna tell you flat out right now, it's not enough time. So the event started and things started to roll in, like people having to wait over 2 hours to register. They had influencers invited, and those influencers were supposed to have a different line for registration. Things like that didn't exist. There was no ADA, anything. Not even the and the ADA guidelines are the bare minimum, okay? Not even that. Not even the bare minimum for ADA guidelines. So people in wheelchairs, walkers, all these things like couldn't get through. We're just in the lines getting bumped and jostled. Absolute trash. I am going to link to you a ton of TikToks down below chronicling people's experiences, as well as the threads I talk about and different stuff, because I'm summarizing this as best I can, because literally we could do like an hour plus deep dive like I did for the Kraken on Readers Take Denver, I think, at this point. They promised people swag bags. There were none. The influencers were supposed to get all this extra stuff. They didn't get anything. The authors were supposed to get swag bags. They didn't get anything. On top of that, authors were told that if you pay $100, your books will be delivered to your table. That didn't happen. Volunteers were crying, begging to sort things alphabetically in the delivery room to like sort books through, and were told no. and had to just move book boxes, like very strenuous activity here, all around and all over, and then redo it again because they couldn't sort alphabetically as they got off the truck. They said, sorry for offending you, to an author they misgendered in an email with like 10 other people. Sorry for offending you. I have so many feelings. People's books, like authors' books, were stolen. Yeah, that happened at a Polycon that I went to in 2019 and 2022 as well. People just, books vanished. So, Emily Rath's thread alone detailed the fact that schedules were changed constantly, authors were not informed, nothing was ever locked, stuff was just left unattended for over 72 hours. Because of how ticketing worked, people weren't even getting in the signing rooms to see the authors they were there to see. Staff was yelling at readers, there were no like allowances for pre-order pickups, 10-15 minutes to tear down a table, but while also getting yelled at. Yeah, so Emily said it was $600 worth of inventory that she's now going to have to reorder and ship, and then at least $200 to ship it to all the people who can pick up their stuff. God, I have so many thoughts. Okay, so this event, in my opinion, first things first, just like too much, too quick. Did not have an event planner, obviously, of any capacity who knew how to do an event this size. And I don't know that people fully grasp that, because I think sometimes they think, I can do it, event planning's easy. Event planning is not easy. I've done not like full-blown event planning, but I've done event planning. I used to run a planner community where we would get together and work on our planners. And we planned events. We planned a scavenger hunt. It was a lot of work. Event planning is a lot of work. Even just planning like the meetups is a lot of work. So I just feel like people think, oh, I can just grow this easily and it's not going to be a problem. And it is obvious to me that it became a problem very quickly because, again, just from Emily's list alone, every single video I've seen about this event, people said, I had good times, there were good memories too, but the detailing of the issues were massive. Influencers, and some people were like supposed to be able to come in early to the signing to get some stuff signed ahead. Authors weren't even informed of this ahead of time. So some of them didn't even know to be there. I saw authors were having readers come to their hotel room so they could get their orders and get their books signed because they were just trying their best to carve out a happy spot for their readers. And listen, those that did that like above and beyond, right? Because like you're also kind of putting your safety at risk a little bit here. But I just think like fantastic of you. But this should have never been the case. Like, I don't understand how you rent out a Gaylord hotel and not have the things in place for this. Book Bonanza I've been to was kind of a disaster. And I know how big those rooms are. Like the ballrooms and stuff at the Gaylords. I've been to multiple events of them. They're massive. The next thing is they weren't even taking tickets to enter the masquerade ball. So a group of men got in. I will link to a video down below for you if you want to see those men. And apparently were harassing the women at the ball. And in doing so, one of them at one point groped a woman's ass. They were dancing up on women without saying anything to them beforehand, just grabbing them and trying to dance with them. Basically, they saw a bunch of girls in dresses and said, I want to go there. And they just waltzed in. No one checked their ticket. And then the organizers, including Lisa Renee Jones, who is one of the organizers, and her husband, said, this is Diego. I just want to speak on the essay you mentioned, the masquerade situation. Upon being told of what was happening on the dance floor, I quickly asked the guys, 5 of them, and they were military, because we're trying to say, like, they were military men. They wouldn't do that. They have respect. Let me tell you, that is the biggest lie you will ever be told in your life. Never believe it. Don't trust any man. No man. Don't trust any man, okay? And if you feel called out by that, there's a reason. They were asked to leave. Afterwards, 2 women approached me to thank me, an older woman and a younger woman, and it was a mother-daughter. An older daughter in her 20s turned out. The younger one was the one that had the quotation mark essay happen to. She was dancing with one of the men. Her mother saw how they were dancing and she felt it was inappropriate. The daughter was embarrassed that it happened, but went along with mom and that she agreed they should be escorted out, though the daughter told me that she didn't dislike the attention she was receiving from the man in question. It was a hand on the waist, but like many things, a hand on the waist has now morphed into sexual assault. The younger woman absolutely does not want to press charges, and the men were military men and were invited to the dance by an attendee. Maybe not all of them, but that's how things go sometimes when friends are together. The mother doesn't want to press charges either. And that's the truth of the situation. It wasn't as bad as it's being described in many, many threads on socials. So we're just gonna let a man minimize sexual assault. And no matter what, unwanted attention, that kind of unwanted attention is not okay. Y'all, I would love to think that people understood that that's like not an excuse and it doesn't matter. But yeah, I do feel like it's kind of creepy to have the host, like the main author that puts this on as events, speak about sexual assault like that and be like, they were military men, it's fine. Like, they're very much using that to like try to endear you to these men and make you think like it's fine, nothing bad would have happened. There is someone who posted that they were touched by these men and that they kept cramping, you know, bumping into her and like touching her and trying to like kind of crowd her in. Just because they're military men doesn't mean they're safe. I'm also going to post a video from Alistair Marie Alley, who shows the dance floor and shows kind of how everyone was like grouping away from the men, because that was kind of terrifying to see. So yeah, I'll have that down below for you. Next up, I want to note they had Rebecca Yarros there, and that was a big draw in for them, right? A lot of people, lover or hater, are going to this event to meet Rebecca Yarros, right? And Rebecca posted a ginormous post. I'm going to put the screen recording up here. Again, all of this is going to be in the Google Drive that I will link below if you really want to read it in close detail. But like, she called out so much of the issues. Including the lack of diversity. It was a 0.016% authors of color, underrepresented authors at this event. She said it couldn't be whiter if it snowed. And I just, what? How do you, like, there's so many amazing authors that are underrepresented now. How do you have an event with none of them? Basically, like, how did that happen? Also, this event grouped authors. But yeah, Rebecca's statement is really interesting. I highly recommend reading it. Lover or hater, I think she made some really good points about this event. She will not be attending. She tried to offer longer times to sign and all sorts of stuff to adapt and accommodate the amount of people she knew were attending to meet her. But she knew in that time span it was going to be impossible. And the other thing here is they grouped authors into rising stars and like something else, which was weird, like really weird to me. And then they had the super popular authors, which Polycon did this before too, which I don't disagree with, is always a bad idea when they are going to have the longest lines. Like when I met Sarah J. Maas at a Polycon in 2018. I think that was when I went the first time. 2019. So when I met Sarah J. Maas, it was like a raffle ticketed event. So like that makes sense to me. Like, do that for really, really, really big authors. Ticketing authors makes sense. But if you're only giving people like such a small window to do signing times, it's just not going to work with that many authors, not many people. That many people is really the key point here. It's too many people to make it manageable for a signing. After all this, Lisa Renee Jones released a statement. She apologized. She talked about her Black niece and Black grandchildren and how much she values diversity. Yeah, I used to read Lisa's books a long time ago. Not anymore. Not anymore. We're good. We're done. I am so off put by this whole thing. So yeah, that's one of her statements, and they basically were like, we're gonna work on it. They re-invited back every single influencer from this year for next year, most of which I've seen have all declined. They're like, we're good. We're super duper good, which I don't blame them. I have seen, I think last I checked, over 200 authors have pulled out of Readers Take Denver 2025. I will also link to that spreadsheet down below for you. Someone is tracking it, not me. And the final like thing that kind of has me going, with Readers Take Denver is like Book Bonanza. It's to benefit a charity. That charity is called Julie's Friends. It is a 501(c) registered charity. But do you want to know who runs that charity? Yes, that's right. Lisa and her husband, Diego. There is no board of directors. There is no testimonials of people who have gotten support from them. There's nothing. I would like to know who they've helped since making this charity, since taking money in to do this event. I don't know. Is there even money left? I'm not sure, right? At the ticket price of like $375 a ticket and 3,000 attendees, and then the author table fees. I don't know, y'all. I feel like there's money somewhere. That's just my gut. That's just what my gut says. And I feel like that money is in maybe not in the charity's pockets in the ways it should be. But yeah, that charity really, I don't know. It threw up some red flags for me personally. So my personal advice is from this whole event experiences, I know some people are going to be nervous to attend events. I'm going to recommend you start small. Try going to some smaller local events if you can. Explore what's around you. Can you go to a Barnes & Noble signing or a local bookstore signing even? I have really enjoyed the smaller events. Authors in the Bluegrass was a blast. I'm not attending this year because there's not an author I want to meet, but you know, I think that can be a great option potentially. They did grow a lot though over the last year, so I don't know. I could be wrong on that statement. But yeah, I would say try to attend smaller events with lower ticket prices just to get a feel for it. More than likely you'll be okay. Truly, for the most part, I've had more good than bad experiences when it comes to like attending a Polycon and things like that. Obviously, I didn't take Denver, so I have no idea. But I'm just fingers crossed that no other event this year is this bad. Okay. Yeah, I would just avoid Lisa Renee's events. I'll link to it below. I don't have a ton on this, but I heard some interesting things about the Salem book event as well. Being overcrowded and having some issues. So maybe avoid that one too. But I'll link to that thread I saw. I'm not covering it because I just don't think I have enough on it to do that. Let's close this thing up with some fun stuff. Because you know what? First of all, I need some water. I'm dying over here. Had some water, switched my battery out because it died on me. And I'm ready to close this thing up because I need to edit it for you. First up, the Love Club Bookshop opened in Canada and they're doing special editions that aren't subscription based. So I'm really curious to see what they do here. But I'm going to link to it for you down below. I just thought this was really cool. One of my patrons shared it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a neat thing. And I love a not fully subscription-based special edition option. Next, Ben Alderson, who has been pretty popular on TikTok, who writes Men Loving Men romances, has gotten a 6-book deal. So he shared a video recently of this, and I'm just so excited. I haven't read his books yet. I do want to read them. I'm just excited to see more own representation, Men Loving Men romances in the romance space because we need that. We are hating more. Like, don't get me wrong. And there's a good bit of queer authors also writing in that space as well, but it's just always exciting for more. And then, last but not least, Aurora Asher's My Funny Demon Valentine series got picked up by Kensington, and I think we have to wait another year or more or so for the next book in the series, but I just think it's interesting. This isn't a series that I necessarily had on my radar to get picked up. It was a nice surprise because, like, I love to see our monster and demon books get picked up by publishers. That happened in the month. I will be back with your next Romancelandia in May. I hope you enjoyed. I would love to know, what was your biggest surprise this month of all the things that happened? I think mine, honestly, was Freydis Moon. I don't know. It just didn't feel... I felt like that wasn't coming, but here we are. I really I didn't shove aside the initial accusations, but I just was like, I don't know, it's possible it's not, but a lot of other things added up very quickly on that front. So, and if you don't do any of those things, oh my gosh, P, stop it. You can leave me a star emoji in the comments, and I will be back in just a few days with my next video for you. Yeah, we'll talk about it all soon. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is